Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you four different ways of Copilot experiences in Microsoft Fabric. Before I go with the demo, as always, I'm just going to show you the concepts in the slide. In this slide, I'm just going to explain to you four different Copilot experiences in Microsoft Fabric. Start from the top left, I have what we call the Copilot Standalone experience. What it does is essentially a Copilot chat-like experiences like you have seen in ChatGPT or M365 Copilot. You see an icon Copilot on the left sidebar of Microsoft Fabric where you can click and it gives you that chat experience. But the difference of this Copilot standalone and the normal M365 Copilot you've had for free is that this Copilot actually is an expert of your fabric items. But I'm going to go into the detail later as part of the demo. The next one is the top right, and I will call it Copilot as the development assistant, is a coding assistant. It lives in your lakehouse, warehouse, KQL database, or KQL query set. You could also say it lives in your data pipeline. And what it does is it's a right sidebar of Copilot, and then you can ask many different questions, but mostly to help you code or develop your pipeline or develop your SQL query, KQL query, or even the PySpark codes if it's in Fabric Notebook. Now, the third one that I want to show is what I think is quite popular is Copilot within Power BI. Now, within Power BI, and when I say Power BI report and also Power BI semantic model. So you have this view like the one in the development assistant before you have a sidebar on the right hand side, which again I'll show you later in the demo, that you can ask questions about your data in that Power BI report, right? Now, lastly, what's actually still in preview but also very exciting is Fabric Data Agent. Now, this is essentially an agent that you can train about your data in Microsoft Fabric. You want it to become an expert of your data. And there are a couple of steps to do that. But again, the details of this I'll show you in the demo. Before we start with demo, please make sure you have three things in place to be able to use Copilot in Microsoft Fabric. The first one is you need to have a Fabric paid license, F2 or higher. Fabric trial will not work. Second thing is you need to have a Fabric workspace where your Fabric capacity unit previously is attached to this workspace. And the last thing is you need to enable Azure OpenAI in Fabric Tenant Admin Portal. And for that part, let me show you how. Here we are in my Microsoft Fabric personal. Because I have two different Microsoft Fabric, this one is the free or trial version with me as a Fabric admin. The other one that I'm going to use for the demo is actually, I'm not the admin, so I can actually show you or enable Azure OpenAI there. If you want to enable Azure OpenAI or you want to use Copilot as a Fabric, you do need to go to settings and Fabric, this admin portal here. Search for Copilot. Five different options here down below. The one that you want to enable, you can enable all of them, but the most important one is the first one where users can use Copilot powered by Azure OpenAI. You can apply it to entire organization. You can apply it to specific Microsoft security groups. Okay, you want to apply that. Now, the second and the fourth one, they are similar. So the second one is you want to allow data sent to Azure OpenAI and can be processed outside your region. And if you are living outside the EU boundaries, Europe's and US, you might want to enable this so that you can use Azure OpenAIs in other regions, right? That one, you can enable that again for entire organization or specific security groups. And this one here, also allowing data sent to Azure OpenAI so that it can be processed or stored outside EU or US. Now, if you have data residency or data compliance requirement, this could be tricky. You might need to check whether your region actually has Azure OpenAI. The third one here is, I think, is just optional because you can designate your Fabric capacity as Fabric Copilot capacities. I think this is just for the purpose of monitoring user Copilot usage and billing in a single capacity. Lastly, what's interesting is that if you want to train your Copilot in Power BI with a more granular examples or training data, then you want to use these AI prep items in the Copilot for Power BI. Mine happens to be enabled already. Okay. All right. Now back to the slides so that I can show you the demo one at a time. Now I'm in my second Microsoft Fabric where I have Microsoft Fabric paid license and Copilot enabled in the admin portal already. Here I'm in my data pipeline view, but I think the first demo I want to show you is the Copilot standalone in Microsoft Fabric. And if you go to the Copilot icon on the left sidebar, I've done this before, so I don't have to select a workspace, but if you've never done it, you'll be asked to choose a workspace. But again, that workspace that you select needs to have a Fabric F2 license and higher or higher. Now in here, just your normal Copilot chat, you can ask questions. So you can use these shortcuts. So you can ask, what can Copilot help me? And this is basic. I don't want to dwell into this further, but you can ask, yeah, just like your normal Copilot. The interesting thing is that you have this plus sign down below where you actually can pick three things: reports, semantic models, and data agents, right? Now, this is essentially if you want to ask specific questions related to a particular Power BI report or particular Power BI semantic models and also to your data agents, and you can do so like that, right? I just cleared that. And maybe this is one example, prep summary for my team about Montoso sales example, Power BI report. See, that's a neat way to just ask questions about a particular Power BI report. Okay, that's just one way to show you how Copilot standalone works. The second thing that I want to highlight, and I mentioned before, is the Copilot as a development assistant, right? So I have these four different fabric items: lakehouse, warehouse, event house, and also pipeline. You can also do the same with Fabric Notebook and also Power BI DAX. They're all essentially doing similar things. Let's say I've just go in with the copy data in here, and look, you can see here there's a Copilot icon. Now I can just basically ask Copilot to generate me copy activity as part of the data pipeline. So this is actually a development assistant. It helps me to do what I need to do as a data engineer. For example, you do similar things in, let's say, in Lakehouse, but if you want to use it in Lakehouse, make sure you go to the SQL endpoint Lakehouse and you create a new query, and you have Copilot in here where you can ask help, or so that Copilot can help you code. Okay. Let's say if I do that, what can I ask to help me identify trends and strategic opportunities? I don't know why it's asking such a weird question, but I think it's going to help you to come up with some logic and also some query. If you ask further, which countries of region have the highest number of public holidays? This is interesting because I already have a table named public holidays. So it kind of generates me a SQL query, and I'll just copy paste, and then you can start running it. Very nice. It helps you accelerate your development process. Now in warehouse, very similar. You have Copilot experience. I'm not gonna go into detail, and also KQL DB, where you actually can say open one KQL DB, and if you go to KQL query set, I can just turn on Copilot in here. Is And let's say, write me a your query to show top 1000 in stocks table. Let's see what we got. Okay, that's the query. So you can actually, again, copy and paste or insert that directly. Quite handy. Again, it accelerates your development. This is the same for Fabric Notebook. So you can help you to write PySpark or Spark SQL code. It's part of your canvas here to accelerate your development. I'm gonna go. The third thing I want to highlight is here is the Copilot in Power BI. Now, this is an example of a Power BI report. I use this Contoso sales dashboard. It's a fake data. First, if you go into Copilot here, you see this is very similar to the development assistant, but it's actually can ask or can help you understand the data better. So let's say, what's this report about? This is not exactly development assistant, actually helps you to understand the reports, ask questions about the data. So this is actually pretty powerful for that low code and no code experience, right? Because generally most people, it is already very user friendly. Sometimes you have questions about the data and you are limited to just interact with the dashboard that you have. Let's say, ask question about the data. Hey, great. What would you like to know? I can search blah, blah, blah. Now, this is great. Now, this is for Power BI report in Microsoft Fabric. So this Power BI service online. You have the same experience, this right sidebar, Copilot in Microsoft Power BI desktop version, right? So in summary, Copilot in Power BI helps you understand, interact with your Power BI dashboard and its data in natural language, conversational like Copilot chat experience. So it's very handy in that. One thing that I want to highlight in here is the Power BI semantic models. And in here you have number of tables and also attributes of that table. And back to the text, you can write text and you can have Copilot to help you write text queries, but I'm not going to go into that because I've covered that before. The one that's interesting here is the prep data for AI. Now, remember earlier in the Fabric tenant admin portal where there is a toggle to enable AI prep for data in Copilot Power BI. This is for that. So if you actually want to make your Copilot in Power BI smarter, you can actually simplify the data schema. So what that means is you can actually select or deselect or include or exclude data or fields that Copilot doesn't need to analyze. So you can actually check, see there's so many different tables, you can ignore some of the tables in here. Yeah. And even at a column level, you can do that and apply. You can also continue can also give verified answers. So in Power BI, you can set up question and answers, right? And to do that. But somehow this is not enabled for me. I think this is probably disabled from the tenant level. And you can also give specific AI instructions. So provide context on important data fields, business goals, industry terms to improve Copilot insights about this semantic model. All right, so you can add instructions to actually, for revenue related questions, you could use this sales performance table, for example. Or EBITDA, what is EBITDA? So you can explain EBITDA is earnings before tax, interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Because EBITDA can mean something else, but generally that's what it means. If asked whether something is on target, show, la la la. Okay, so that's what I meant by prep data for AI. Okay, I'm gonna demo you Fabric Data Agent. First thing first, I've got this Fabric item data agent created already. If you haven't had one, please do create a new Fabric Data Agent yourself. When you open it, you get something like this. So you have an Explorer on the left, and you probably have a blank space in the middle. Now, there are a couple of elements like key components of Fabric Data Agent. I'll walk you through that in a sec. But first thing first, you want to connect to a data source. Let's say I want to connect to this lake house because I want to create an expert about a particular data. Let's say I only have these public holidays. All right, I want this agent to be an expert in public holidays. Okay. Now there are a couple of components here that's critical. So you have agent instructions, you have data source instructions, and example queries. Now, agent instructions will be instructions about what you want this agent to be. Okay. So if you click that, they guide the data agent to the best data source for different types to answer specific questions. Now, Microsoft has a uh, recommended structure on how you want to instruct the agent. Just going to copy that in here, right? But just to keep it simple, I don't really have specific terminologies or response guidelines on this. I'm just going to make it a very simple data agent. Let's say help users answers questions related to public holidays. Okay, very simple. Now, with data source instructions, Microsoft also has recommended instructions that you can apply. So if I just apply that here, this in Markdown. So general knowledge, let's say, just explain what the data is. Agent should use public holidays data set from Copilot. Okay, so you want to describe this table. So public holidays tables contains blah blah blah. And I think just to speed up, write me data source instructions related to public holidays table. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it simple and lazy because I'm just gonna use Copilot to generate that for me. Oh, I haven't got the example queries, but let's just say I'm gonna copy the columns in here and hopefully it's gonna work. And the last thing is example query. So if you have, or if you know that the kind of queries our users will ask, you can actually train the agent to include get all public holidays in a specific country, for example. So you want to include that here, and then you want to write SQL query there, right? Rightly, yeah, generic code can include errors. Get all published in a specific country. You get US. Okay. Invalid column name. All right. So there is no column country code. Let's go back. Country region code. The region code. It does the validation and hopefully it looks good. Okay, it looks good. Get a public holidays in US. Okay. That's kind of example queries that you want to set up. If we see, sorry, you need to pick this table. I think this is why the test agent response earlier didn't work. You need to pick that up. And then let's say you want to save that. And then you want to publish that one. Let's say you want to publish. Now you do need to publish it so you can use it. So let's say now we go back to the Copilot standalone. Now, if you want to ask question about particular data agent now, you can do that here. Show me public holidays in US. I hope it's gonna work. There you go. That's the answer. It's pretty good. That's it. That's the Copilot experiences in Microsoft Fabric. You have 4 different experiences altogether. You have Copilot standalone, you have Copilot as a development assistant, Copilot in Power BI, and Copilot as a Fabric data agent. Hope you learned something from my video today. If you do, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would really help my channel grow. That's it. Thank you. Have a good day.